Picture this. Your body wakes in a crucified position with no recollection of yourself, nor your surroundings. Any object you gaze at could kill you in an instant with its size. The world outside can barely be seen as clouds of dust haze your eyes. Sounds only stem from yourself, apart from noises too distant to be able to recognize. You are introduced to somebody's home, observing fractured glimpses of what used to be. Although you seemingly appear to be all alone, you come to realize that your back is labeled number 9. 9 is a sci-fi horror animated short film released back in 2009, directed by Shane Acker and produced by Tim Burton. Shane Acker, born in 1971, used to be a very hyperactive child. Of course, during that time, there were no tablets to feed your children brain rot on, so his parents encouraged the act of drawing. This would further develop his interest in architecture. Shane would later earn his bachelor's degree in architecture and graduate from the University of Florida in 1994. He then spent a few more years studying to obtain his master's. However, in 1999, Shane decided to completely change the course of his life, deciding to start over as a filmmaker at UCLA's animation workshop. I do wonder if the date of this milestone influenced the idea for his movie. In 2004, he began working on several short films, one of them being The Hangnail, a grotesque 2-minute short where a casual pedestrian accidentally peels his entire skin off. He also made a minute-long showcase titled The Astounding Talents of Mr. Grenade. Although I wasn't able to find the short itself, its IMDb description reads, Mr. Grenade is eager to show his talents, but in the end, he does what grenades do best. I can't lie, I'm very disappointed that I'll never get to see this. Most notoriously though, Shane released the animated short called 9 back in 2005. What originated as an 11-minute student project would eventually blossom into a full feature film. After receiving an Academy Award for Best Animated Short Film, his project would screen at SIGGRAPH Electronic Theater. Luckily for him, Tim Burton and his acquaintance, Timur Bekmambetov, which kinda sounds like his evil doppelganger, but I digress, would give Shane his accolades and even offer him an opportunity to expand on that universe. They quickly began to work and the rest is history. So, what is 9? Well, the film takes place in a post-apocalyptic world where humans destroy their own kind by developing advanced technology that went too far. Yet another movie predicting future outcomes for the Big 26. As a last-ditch effort to save humanity's legacy, a scientist creates multiple ragdolls designed to survive that post-apocalyptic toxic environment. Each doll was carefully crafted and infused with the scientist's soul using alchemy. His final moments before passing were shared with his creation, number 9, hence the protagonism. 9 wakes into life after remaining dormant for what is presumably a long period of time. Below him lies a dead scientist with his equipment scattered all around. When he leaves to explore the outside world, it becomes apparent that he inhabits one of destruction. Fortunately, it's revealed that he is not alone. Number 2 appears to be an older, more experienced doll who is also relieved to find another one of his kind. When 9 displays an artifact he picked up from the lab, number 2 becomes ecstatic, claiming that someone is always drawing that item. Their conversation is followed by silence when a strange noise is heard in the distance. This is our introduction to the film's primary threats, mechanical scrap monsters. I think this one resembles a dinosaur. 9 hides inside a barrel of sorts, meanwhile 2 has his soul sucked out of him while being used as a chew toy. There's no way I could have made that sentence sound good, so just bear with me. He doesn't escape entirely unscathed as the mecha dog nearly tears his arm off. He almost dies because of it too. Though, I'm not quite sure how. It's not like he could bleed out or anything. Anyway, a one-eyed mutual, number 5, finds his resting body and takes him in to stitch up his injuries. The fragile-minded king, number 1, confronts 5 for risking his life to save another. When 9 tries to explain that 2 was captured by the beast, 1 believes that it would be a death wish to go after him. Apologies in advance if I accidentally end up solving the quadratic formula or something, by the way. 1 then drops some lore on 9, elaborating further on where these monsters even came from. It's stated that the poison gas wiped the human population clean from the war, and their kind was the only one to survive. Not that anyone cares, but I personally believed it would have worked better to
keep this information hidden from the general audience.
This world building should speak for itself. There's quite a mystique to it. They definitely could have taken advantage of details and Easter eggs to explain their situation better. Despite the film challenging the PG-13 rating, many know that one of the biggest sins in storytelling is having a character explain the story instead of allowing the audience to piece it together. together themselves. It is true that we had a visual example of how everything went down, but it almost felt cramped, like they were trying to get that out of the way. The scene definitely dragged for a little bit, and it's probably the reason why it took me so many tries to finish this movie as a kid. However, I'm 21 now, so I can no longer blame the attention span of a child. Instead, I can point towards my chronic Instagram addiction. After the king refuses to rescue 2, he commands one of his goons, 5, to escort 9 into the watchtower. Shortly after, we see the drawings 2 referred to earlier covering an entire wall. 9 spots the location where he believes the mecha dog was headed with 2, but 5 refuses to help him. Understandably, he questions 5's morality and interrogates him about why he follows one's orders,
even when they're not the right thing to do.
Admittedly, 5 confesses to being scared to disobey him, stating that every group needs a leader and that rules exist for protection. His stance later changes when 9 makes him ponder whether 2 would have done the same for him. When they arrive at their destination, they find 2 worn out and trapped inside a cage. Before they get the chance to release him, the mecha dog lurks around the corner and threatens the group. They attempt to fight it off for a while before reaching a dead end, but thanks to plot armor, its head gets decapitated by a mysterious figure. Here we meet a new character, number 7. She's portrayed as a badass and a potential love interest for 9 as well. After defeating the mecha robot, which I forgot to put the name on the script, so I'll just put it on screen, 9 finds the missing piece he lost when 2 was taken, the very same item that kept getting drawn and pinned to the wall earlier. Unfortunately, his curiosity leads him to a terrible fate. He fits the piece into an old machine, which awakens as yet another threat. This one's literally called Fabrication Machine, or Operation Brain for short. 2 once again gets his soul sucked out while trying to protect 9. At this point, he needs to realize that this isn't his movie. The group escapes from the beast and manages to find shelter in a library. Inside, they spot a familiar pair of twins, 3 and 4, who are the only characters in the entire movie that cannot speak. They are canonically mute. They're historians who keep record of everything happening in the area. 9 explains how he had mistakenly triggered something dangerous, and the twins reveal the monster to be a time machine from before the human extinction. This device was so technologically advanced and ahead of its time that it began creating machines of its own. 9 wonders if the twins have any additional information regarding the talisman that awakened it, but nothing seems to ring a bell. It's only when 5 mentions the drawings that 9 decides it would be best to return to the one who drew them, number 6. The only problem is that number 1 is holding him captive, and if it wasn't clear before, he wants nothing to do with those creatures. 9 and 5 attempt to sneak into his dome to get a better look at the drawings, but to no avail. They're captured by one's personal bodyguard and brought back to him. Of course, 9 briefly bickers with 1, essentially calling him a coward before chaos breaks loose with another one of the machine's creations. This mecha pterodactyl, called the Winged Beast, destroys one's sanctuary and even sets it on fire. With no other place to call home, he's left with no choice but to face the outside world, just as he feared. There's actually a moment in this battle that I really enjoy. When 1 is hanging from 9's weapon as they're both about to fall, the beast manages to grab onto 1's cape, putting his life at risk. 9 tells him to release it, otherwise everyone will be dragged down with him, and after some hesitation, he does just that. It's the moment where he surrenders his position as king, or maybe the moment he finally understands what it means to be a leader. Either way, I think the way they present his character growth is handled tastefully, even if it's a small change. He's still an asshole after all. To further prove my point, 1 would confess to send 2 out there to die. That would incentivize more of a reaction out of me if I hadn't just witnessed his bodyguard practice self-pleasure prior to that. Seriously, like, what the fuck is this? His goon session is soon interrupted by what is my favorite creature in the film, the seamstress. It's a Medusa-inspired slithery mecha baby doll, and its design is so cool. Not to mention absolutely horrific. It ties yarn around its stunned victims exactly the way a spider hunts its prey, and then uses their fabric to expand its own body. 2's lifeless corpse is also integrated as part of its design. Number 1 stumbles across this beast and his scream can be heard by the group, who then sprint to his defense. During the chaos, number 7 loses control and is eventually captured by the monster. 1 resorts back to the idea of finding shelter, but this time around, his bodyguard isn't there to protect him, since he was captured as well. 9 holds a burial ceremony for his friend 2, and everyone pays their respects before heading out once more to slay the creature. This time, they had a plan. They head straight to the fabrication machine's cove. 9 insists on tackling the seamstress all by himself while the others wait outside with a highly flammable barrel. He arrives just in time to witness number 8, the bodyguard, also get his soul detached from his body, just like 2 did. I honestly don't think anything of value was lost. All he did was groan and play with himself. I do feel bad for the guy though. 9 successfully manages to defeat the seamstress and save 7, but unfortunately for them, the seamstress was only half the battle. The Brain's minions return to attack from the outside while 9 and 7 try to escape from within. The group outside propels the barrel into the hideout, and just like that, it's engulfed in flames. I was generally convinced the movie would end right here. Everyone is celebrating and getting along. 6 starts playing some copyrighted music from the vintage record player. 9 and 7 have a little moment, and the fabrication machine remains inside, so there's no possible way it's alive. Right? It's alive. And what follows is one of the cruelest deaths yet. 5's blissful ignorance in chasing after a vinyl record ultimately leads to his demise. Brain mercilessly consumes his soul and immediately goes after the rest of the group, yet again. While crossing a bridge over a long fall, Brain's bulky build gets stuck, leaving it dangling from the ledge.
That's what happens when you forget to cut, bro.
It even manages to snatch 6 along with it. 6 tries to warn 7 that their souls remain alive. Oh my god, did I just say 6 tries to warn 7? Oh my god, there's no way I'm that brain rotted. I literally read it. I literally read the fucking script. Oh my god, I'm cooked. 6 tries to warn 9 that their souls remain alive inside Brain, begging him and the group to avoid destroying it. His final words are directed toward 9.
Go back to the first room. He'll show you the source.
Respecting his dying wish, 9 returns to where it all began, the lab. There, he finds the blueprint for all of the scientist's creations, including himself. He also discovers a box hidden under the rotting corpse, containing a video message recorded by his maker. The video exposes the scientist's failures as an innovator and advises 9 to remember the symbols from the talisman, which contain the human soul. His own. The goal is to remove it from the machine, to strip its power and restore all of the souls. He shares his findings with the group, but number 1 remains convinced that destroying the machine is the only solution, even after 9 explains that the talisman still holds the souls of those who died. In the face of imminent danger, 9 stands in front of Brain to distract it, while someone else attempts to snatch the talisman. In a sudden turn of events, 1 shoves 9 out of the way and sacrifices his own life. With no time to lament, 9 quickly removes the talisman from the machine and defeats Brain once and for all. It was definitely a shock to me how willing the film was to kill off most of its characters. It brings a sense of seriousness and reality that we often lack in cinema these days. Not to mention, the story feels more gratifying knowing that whatever we witness is more permanent and unforgiving. The movie ends with 9 releasing the souls from the talisman, allowing them to rejoice one last time before their spirits ascend into the clouds. It then begins to rain, symbolizing that life may finally be restored to the world. This serves as the perfect setup for a sequel that unfortunately never came to fruition due to the distributor, Focus Features, choosing not to greenlight another film. With a budget of $30 million, the movie grossed $48.4 million at the box office, which, for a film that redefines the PG-13 rating by tackling dark and unsettling themes within an animated format aimed at younger audiences, can be considered a clear success. Despite Acker's efforts to remain a prolific filmmaker, he has not experienced the same level of recognition as he did with 9. He even attempted to diversify his career by directing a Thomas the Tank Engine film titled The Adventures of Thomas, though the project was ultimately cancelled. Aside from a 7-minute short film released in 2021, his most recent major role was in 2024 as a co-executive producer for the Hulu series Fright Crew. While the series does not personally interest me, it is reassuring to see that Aker remains active and involved in the industry. If you're an aspiring artist or filmmaker yourself, remember that success isn't determined by how many awards sit on your shelf, but by how authentic your creations are to the way you see the world. When your hands are tied, how full does your heart feel? And if your work is exposed to the masses, will they know you for who you truly are? When I watch 9, I catch a tiny glimpse of Acker's corner of the mind. Pain, grief, and joy presented in a palatable way for anyone to understand. We witness something great that once existed only as a moment in time, but for a director, it's something they carry for the rest of their life, like a limb. A permanent tattoo that sparks conversation whenever he walks into a coffee shop or meets someone new. This is a world he built for you to revisit anytime you wish, hoping you might notice something you missed before. 9 isn't a one-hit wonder, it's Acker's mark, a reminder of what he was able to create and be a part of. And maybe one day, we'll see another one of his worlds collide.